Okay, so we had to come outside here because it's just a little too noisy. So many people showed up to welcome you back to Eugene. So thank you so much for coming and doing a tasting in our new location.
That's great. I'm very happy.
Tonight, and you were so generous with your time tonight that I don't want to take too much time and go through all the wines. But there were a couple of things today that I thought were really interesting. And one was the Rosso seems to have really come together. The last several vintages of this wine have just been really spectacular. Such a value to come all the way over here from Piemonte and have this be a $16 wine on my shelf is really amazing. So maybe you could talk just a little bit about that.
Well, that's the baby of the winery in a way, and it's also the household wine, the one we would imagine having every day on our table. So we ask him two things: the same quality of all the wines, and also the easiness, the simplicity to go with all the food that happens on our table. And sometimes it's more refined, but sometimes it's very simple food at the end of a working day. So that's what those are our expectations for the Rossos. How to make it is very simple. The young vines of the cellar, I'm getting far away from teenage, so I think I can speak about this a bit more easily, but I would say the young vines are like teenagers, and I recall a lot of potential, a lot of energies, which for a wine would be maybe a bit more vigor, but not always the same focus as you expect from maturity. So it's just like a soccer team, a teenager soccer team, where you see all this great potential, but the coach must put some order, and he's also a bit of a psychologist for his own players. So that's what we try to do with the fruit from the young ones, just letting them blend together. The goal is to offer a taste of Piemonte, an introduction to Piemonte, and there's a lot of psychology involved, which means tens and tens of tastings. Of the 6 grapes, they are primarily Dolcetto, Barbera, Nebbiolo, and then there are smaller quantities of Freisa and Albarosso, which are 2 indigenous grapes, and a little bit of Pinot Noir, and given to each grape its role. So it's simple and it's demanding at the same time. I hope the result is just like what you see on the label. It's flowers and fruits of Piemonte. A smooth introduction into it.
Let's make sure that people can see that label. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And today we tasted again the Barbera, and the Barbera Superiore was on the 2007 vintage, correct?
Yes.
We've been enjoying the 2008 on the Normale, but the Superiore was unbelievable, and just that wine is so vibrant. Like it was just it's just in its stride. It's really nice when you can taste a wine in its stride like that. I thought that was a really really impressive wine.
As always, we do very little, just too little. But I think the beauty of the wines is just when they can speak of their identity without manipulation, without makeup on them. And when it comes to the Superiore, that's an older vineyard. It's called Bricco delle Viole. It's actually the same vineyard as the Barolo Bricco delle Viole. We cannot write the name of the vineyard on the front label. That's a designated vineyard for Barolo, so that's Italian bureaucracy. And the vines were planted in 1949. I'd say that's the beauty of those older vines. And in fact, that's why French would always take pride in writing VAV on their older stumps. I usually use a little silly image where an old vine in Barolo has roots which might dig into the soil for 30, 50 feet. Now imagine to drink a cocktail which is 30 feet away. It takes immense energy. You cannot do it with a straw, a bartender's thin black straw. That's the amount of energy that the vine puts into digging and finding nutrition and water. So that explains why yields are so low and the wines are so vibrant, because there's a density to these wines, but there's also great acidity to balance it out.
I think that you have a very particular gift for such a young man, and that you explain things in such understandable terms for people. You know, you use the soccer team as an analogy, or you use you imagine trying to drink a cocktail from 30 feet away. That's pretty good. I think that your desire to get that with cocktail is there. Your desire to have that water for the vine is there. So
is the wines that require us to do so, because one time I think I was just too tired, and I thought, well, maybe a winemaker is a good combination of a farmer and a poet, because you need them both. Because if you just farm without a bit of higher passion, is hard to dream of a wine which takes so much time. Older vines, aging, long fermentations, and then aging again in the bottle. Vice versa, if you're just a poet but you're not a farmer, you won't make any wine. So, no, we just serve the wines. So, all the energies in trying to speak about them is because there's a beauty to communicate. There's nothing else.
Well, your wines speak for themselves, and they're just it's an added bonus that they have an eloquent speaker to follow, to travel around the world with them and show them. So thank you again for coming in to my shop. I was really looking forward to your visit.
It's great to be at Broadway again.
Can I ask you one more question?